everyone, welcome back to my channel. And for those of you that don't know me, I'm Jing, the Candid Filipina. Today, I'm going to talk about relationships and being truthful from the very start, which also includes your past and a little bit about your stability in life right now. So, we will discuss many relationships that I see that work well here and are still ongoing well, and the ones that don't work here. So do listen in to find out more. Because the weather being bad, I've not been out much to do interviews really. So I spent yesterday in my little nipa hut watching the waves rolling onto the beach and relaxing. It was then I started thinking about relationships between Filipinas and foreigners here in my area, and why certain relationships were working well and why some relationships after 8 to 12 months fell apart. I thought first of all it was too large an age gap relationship, say over 30 years gap, or was it culture difference with various countries? When I say various countries, I mean not the USA, the UK, or Australia. I mean the smaller European countries where English was not the first language. Or was it the fact that some foreigners came here without serious intentions and were basically here for a holiday to drink the cheap alcohol, smoke the cheap cigarettes, and party at lower prices, and sightsee, and also maybe have an exciting holiday romance? I was really struggling to find out the answers as to why some relationships work out and some didn't. And then it dawned on me the real reason, as far as I can tell, why some relationships worked out good and some did not. Anyway, let's reflect on my thoughts about it. I came up with now some foreigners come here to retire on, let's say, on an average pension or between $1,000 to $1,500 monthly. Many come here with less than that, let's say $800 to $1,000, and some of you come here with more than that, let's say $2,000 to $4,000. But these are a minority from what I have gathered. But from what I see, for some unknown reasons, foreigners like to exaggerate to the Filipina what they get every month or as to what job they had before they retired. Instead, they fabricate the truth because many don't want to admit they were a lorry driver or a bus driver or a gardener or a laborer or worked in a factory. Instead, they like to pretend they were an airline pilot or a doctor or a high-ranking officer in the army or have their own business or their own restaurant, famous of course, or that they were self-made millionaire with 400 employees. As I said, they felt the need to impress. I don't know why they brag or lie. They don't realize people here in the Philippines don't have any problem with what job work in, be it McDonald's or in the mountains, farming, or a sales lady in a mall, or working in a small store, or in a cell phone shop, or sweeping the road. people don't judge you on that here. They judge you on the fact that you're actually working, that you're trying your best, and that you do have a job regardless of what it is. They will look up to you and respect you for that. There is no peer pressure here. As long as you're working, that's good enough for them. And I think if foreigners realize that, then some would not have to brag that they have something that they don't really have. And that's where the problem starts. I reflected on about 20 relationships that I know of foreigner Filipina. And in honest truth, the ones that were still together were the ones that the guy just came to visit and met them and didn't mind saying that they were a mechanic or worked in a bakery. They came here to meet the girl and explain to them that they would do their best to take care of them. They mentioned that they were not rich by Western standards, but that if they both budgeted well and stuck within that budget, they could get by quite nicely. Maybe even have the odd holiday every couple of months or a little treat now and then, but both were honest with their expectations and both accepted everything that was discussed. Basically, the rules were put in place during the process of getting serious with each other. Their dreams, their aspirations, and the realities all were discussed, including budgets that would be stuck to before they moved in together or got married. And those that did are still happy married and content with each other. The relationship is built on reality, honesty, transparency, and true devotion to each other. I'm just being honest. This is what I see from the relationships that are working well from friends of mine. Now, the relationships that generally didn't work were the guys that came here bragging that they had a company, that they employed 40 people, or they were an airline pilot or a brain surgeon, when in reality, they just earned an average wage, but for some reason, they felt insecure. So they had to tell the girl that they met this type of stories and more. When arriving here to meet the girl of your dreams, save your savings for the future. But these braggers tended to spend a lot of their life savings going traveling on holidays to various islands, every week spending money on expensive hotels and appearing to be accustomed to living the high life so as to impress the girl. Maybe initially they thought the girl was just going to be a bit of fun for for a few weeks, but during the course of spending time with her, he fell in love with that girl, head over heels, but then suddenly realized that he had given a false impression from the start that he could not sustain long term. Remember the saying, what you never had, you never miss. What you had, you miss. So when he realized that, he now wanted to become serious with this girl that he parted with for a couple of months and stayed at expensive hotels, plus great food and treats, only to have to now tell her that they also had to budget and that it would be a lot smaller than he first made out. Sadly, sometimes they won't say this to the girl until they're living together or married to them. And that's where it all starts to fall apart because this girl now has expectations of high life, not a normal life. It's funny actually. I'll give you a quick example, which is quite comical but true. There was a guy living here not too far from where I lived, and he told the girl that he was dating that he was making engine parts for a well-known car company and that he was employing 30 people and how it was a pretty good business. And that in his country where he lived, he owned two houses, three cars, two motorbikes, and wanted for nothing. They dated for about 4 months, after which wedding arrangements were made for a big slap up wedding in an expensive hotel where caterers would be hired and they would have the dream wedding she'd always dreamed for. You won't believe the next part I'm going to tell you. He suddenly announced that he had a cash flow problem due to a slight slump in his business, and he changed the venue of the wedding to Jollibee, a fast food joint that's cheap and cheerful. Of course, she believed him and felt sorry for him. So the wedding went ahead in Jollibee with a happy meal for everyone. A few weeks after the wedding, he disclosed to her that the reality was he had worked as a baker in a bread shop and having now retired was on a simple pension. Of course, all the friends and family thought that this guy was super rich and were therefore shocked that she got married in Jollibee and were now living in a rented apartment for $80 a month. And be honest, when I spoke to the girl, she said she would not have minded what whatever he was earning, whether a little bit or a lot. The fact is he had made a fool of her in front of the family, her friends, and made her look stupid. It does not go down well when somebody loses face here in the Philippines. It's a big thing. She had been lied to, and after 6 or 7 months, she was basically living back with her family, and he was living alone, all because he had been bragging from the start on something he never had. We all have to remember, we are dealing with human beings, with emotions, feelings, expectations, dreams, and goals. Then to find it's all shattered because you've been told to pack lies. And there is an example of some of the marriages that don't work here when people lie from the start on who and what they were or are. So, when you come here looking for Filipina and you're looking for a serious long-term relationship, please just be honest, just be yourself. It won't matter to her if she's genuine. She will love you for who you are and the smaller amount that you can provide, as long as you prove to her that you're honest, you're serious, and that you love her truly. She will be more than happy with that for certain. Sadly, there are a lot of foreigners that fall into this category. They came here, they see the girls are very impoverished, but for some reason have to brag about their unrealistic lifestyle. But just being honest would have been good enough from the start. Some may say, oh, the girl should love you whether you've got money or not. But imagine from your point of view. If the girl you met told you that she was a multimillionaire, of course, it's human nature that you would to tell your friends you've been very fortunate that not only have you met the girl of your dreams, but she was also a millionaire. What a cake in a face it would be for you when you have to tell your friends how you had been lied to from the start. They say honesty is the best policy, and I agree with that. As I said, 100% of the good relationship you see here are with normal guys. Just loving, simple, caring, and honest, and truthful, and generally laid back. So don't be a weekend millionaire when you come here. Just be yourself, and you will do just fine, I promise. Although, I must admit, some of the tales and stories foreigners tell are straight from a fairy tale book. Of course, I'm not saying all foreigners are like that. Many foreigners are wonderful people with wonderful experiences to share and wonderful love to give. I know this as many of my friends are married to really nice guys. So always be true to yourself and true to the girl you intend to spend the rest of your life with. If you are, you will surely have a long and happy life together regardless of what you earn or bring to the table financially. Anyway, enough said. Enjoy your time when you come out here to find happiness. And I truly wish that each and every one of you find what you've been searching for and end up with the girl of your dreams. So, from me, Jane, bye for now. Take care, everyone.